everybody. Welcome to Hallmarkies podcast. And we're so excited today. We're talking with an actress. We're talking with Margaret Berkowitz, who is in the new film, Things Like This. And Margaret, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. So this is your first time on the podcast. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get started acting?
Sure. Well, I am from the Northern Virginia area
Oh.
of all places.
Yeah, I'm from Maryland, so pretty
Oh,
close.
are you? You're
Yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
Mississippi?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, Frederick County. So,
Oh yeah, of course, of course. I'm from Fairfax County in
oh,
Virginia.
really close. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I grew up there and it's funny that when you asked me how I started acting because it was kind of like by mistake, I guess you could say. So I'm one of four kids. I'm the second
Uh-huh.
oldest. And my older sister was like had gotten into choir in elementary school and I guess locally there was a production of Rodgers and Hammerstein's State Fair.
Oh, fun.
And she was in State Fair, and I was like 6 at the time, and apparently I like didn't want to leave her rehearsals. It was an adult production. She was like a child.
Yeah.
And I was just like glued to the rehearsals, didn't want to leave the dress rehearsals. And so then the next, I think it was like once I was finally old enough, you had to be 8 or something to audition. I went with my sister to audition for Honk, the musical in
Yeah, yeah.
area. And I was cast along with my sister. And so we both did it
Uh-huh.
together and I was like hooked from there. So every
Yeah.
year I would do like the winter musical for our area and chorus and all those things. And then when I
Uh-huh.
got to high school, I went to the Madeira School in McLean, and it's an all-girls school,
Oh,
and they
wow.
have an incredible theater there, like
Uh-huh.
super high tech, just great quality stuff, and a whole shop and stuff where they
Yeah.
would build the sets. And so my first year there, I auditioned for Annie, and I came in as a freshman, and I was like, I got this. Like, I'm gonna be Annie. This is my time. 'Cause I'm the youngest. And of course, Annie went to a senior, but I got these like 4 roles across the board. I was like
Yeah.
a Warbucks maid and July the orphan, and like some. I think they were like trying to fit me wherever they could because I was just so enthusiastic and I loved it. And then the next year, my sophomore year, I was Princess Winifred in Once Upon a Mattress, which was like the greatest
So
thing
fun.
ever. It was
Yeah.
so fun.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
that's
mean,
how I started.
I think that's like a reasonable assumption that you had that the younger actors would be playing Annie. I mean, makes
I
sense.
mean, that's very nice of you. I think some of the upperclassmen were a little bit annoyed, being like, yeah. And a very talented senior was Annie. Yeah.
But this is supposed to be a little girl, so it's
Yeah, she
logic. It
was
follows
short. She
logic.
was a short
Oh,
senior,
she's
so
short.
yeah.
Okay.
But no, Madeira really let me grow in terms of acting in the musicals.
Oh,
It
cool.
was since it was an all-girls school, I was Laurie in Little Women, the musical, my junior.
Oh,
Yeah, which
yeah.
was a great time too. And then, both of my parents being Washingtonians were like, like we don't know how viable like this whole acting career, like doesn't seem
Uh-huh.
we don't know this industry. So it's, it was sort of their rule that I went to college and got a college degree and studied something else. And then I could do whatever I wanted
Uh-huh.
to do. So I ended up finding sneaky ways to continue acting in college.
Yeah.
Like, I did I graduated from NYU at the end of the day. And I was an English major and a producing minor, but I auditioned for a lot of the shows and did like I did spelling bee at NYU and Dog Sees
Uh-huh.
God at NYU. And then I before that had been at Oxford for the year, and that's where I was in Chess the musical. So I always found a way to like continue doing it while I was in school. And then when I graduated and I found myself in LA, I was like, oh my gosh, wait a second. I did what my parents wanted and now I'm free. Like I can actually
Yeah.
continue it. So that's kind of like the whole journey.
I think it's smart because I think it's smart to have something that you enjoy doing so that you're not a waitress who sings on the side, or acts on the side. Like
Yeah, I
you
mean,
have like a career that because it takes a long time for almost everybody.
it totally does. And in fact, like I think that you become a better actor when you have more real life experiences where you're not
Yeah.
just, I knew for me, like
True. That's a good
I
point.
understood from my parents, like being in a bubble in a conservatory kind of experience, I might be
Yeah.
starving for like other things, other experiences, which I wasn't because I ended up becoming way more well-rounded with the experience that I had. But everybody makes it
Yeah.
work for themselves on their own journey. I just kind of knew that that was a good idea for me, and I'm glad my parents did that.
Yeah. When uh when I was in high school, we did a trip up to New York, and there was like a little seminar kind of thing, lecture, whatever that we had, and it was the lady who was playing Carlotta on a Phantom at the time. This
Cool.
was way back in like it would have been I graduated from high school, so this would have been like 96, 97, long time ago. Anyway, um and she had like a little Q&A, and one of this, what's your big suggestion for somebody who wants to be on Broadway, wants to be a professional actor? And she said, don't major in musical theater.
Did
That
she
was her
really say
big
that?
advice.
That's
Yeah, she said
hilarious.
that. I wish I remembered her name, but yeah, that was her big advice, because she's
Oh,
like, you need
okay.
to find something that you can be content and satisfied doing for the decade that it's going to take you to be able to sustain
To
yourself
succeed
as a
professionally. Yeah.
yeah. And so they, not that there's anything wrong with being a waitress, but like you want to find something that will be fulfilling enough while you're
Yeah.
pursuing the big dream.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So I thought
hilarious.
that I've always remembered
I
that. We
love
were all like, oh, okay.
it.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Did you hear since you said you were in chess, did you hear the news today about
No.
chess? Very
No, what?
exciting. So chess is coming to Broadway finally. I think it got like a brief run. I'm not sure, but it's
Did it
coming to
ever, I think
Broadway
it was
in the
off.
fall. Oh, it was off Broadway. Okay,
It was
yeah.
off.
But it's not only that it's coming to Broadway
Who with?
in 2025, but they have Aaron Tveit, Nicholas Christopher, and Leah Michelle.
What?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wait, that's gonna be
Huge news
sick.
just announced today.
I'm so glad you told me. I'm always the last to hear about things. Like I did the last 5 years in LA last year, and
Yeah,
right as someone sent me like the morning that it was announced that it was going to Broadway,
yeah.
and I was like totally out of touch that it was even a thing. And so again, I'm having deja vu here with finding out. But that is so cool. Oh my God, I need to get
Yeah.
my ticket to New York.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
I love chess. I played Svetlana, and which I'm like is an often like overlooked character,
Yeah.
I think. Um, but
It's
yeah, it
gonna
was
be
a
fun
great.
because I think the chess is on like tons of people's bucket list. Like,
I
because
think,
most people know the album,
yeah, I mean it's just such a
but
cool
most people haven't actually seen it.
yeah, because they haven't gotten the chance to, because it doesn't often go up. But that
Mhm.
is so exciting. Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the last 5 years,
Mhm.
I think it must be an interesting role to play, because you don't actually interact except for at the wedding
Yeah.
with with
We're
your
singing. Yeah.
co-star, but you have to develop some kind of chemistry. You have to make it make sense. And usually it's performed in kind of a black box, like stark,
Mhm.
relatively stripped down set
Yeah.
and things like that. Like, so you have to bring it as an actress. Like, that must have been challenging.
Yeah, it had its challenges, but it
Yeah.
also like when you create such an inner world, because the song like Jason Robert Brown is unreal. Like
Yeah.
I like him. Like, I don't think there's anybody else like him. And so like singing all the songs, even just as myself as Kathy, like there's a real Jamie that's already there. And so then when I met Brian who played my Jamie, when you're like with the actual physical person, it's just like boop, like this is exactly who I've
Yeah.
created this entire world with just as an actor. But it was more unusual to not be in sort of like a bigger ensemble piece where you can joke around more and like there's more going on and there's less pressure, I would say. You know, like you are the show. And it was really even though it wasn't a dance show, it was very athletic in terms of singing. Like I've never really sung a score like that, and like all that. We also we did a star production ish, but we still had like costume changes and things, and so it was very fast paced. There was never a time where I was like chilling out in the backstage. It was like if I wasn't like putting on my heel for the wedding, like taking out an earring, stitching it, and going on in 2 seconds, and like something was wrong. So it was a super athletic.
Oh, interesting. I wish I could have seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen it one time. It was a black box when I saw it here. It was production in Utah. It was brilliant. It was really good. But yeah, of course I've seen the movie.
Oh yeah.
Which underrated in my opinion.
Totally. And yeah,
really good.
Yeah, they're just they're amazing.
Yeah. Well, I also saw that you had been in Legally Blonde, which is a favorite of mine. I absolutely love that musical. I think it is so funny and charming. And I mean, I just, if you had told me when that they were making a musical of Legally Blonde, I would have like, what? Why are they doing that? You know, because every movie has to be musical these days.
Right.
But they pulled it off, man. If anything, it elevates the movie. I just saw the movie in the theater this week, actually, randomly, and it's a good movie. I really enjoy it, but the musical's even better.
Musical, okay, Rachel, you were saying my exact experience when I heard I was in like I want to say I was in middle school when I heard that it was coming to Broadway.
Yeah.
And even as a middle schooler, I was like, how are they like anything can be a musical these days? And then they had MTV or VH1 or something had televised the musical, which was the only way that I saw it. And I was like, this, like the experience just like washed over me and I was like forever changed. And so I was Margot in Legally Blonde, which was basically just like being myself. It was one of the most fun shows I've ever been in. It was just
the songs are so catchy. It's so funny. Yeah. And I was talking with some friends about that we were talking about what would make for a good date Broadway show musical. And there's honestly not that many. There's
definitely not the last 5 years, I will say.
No, like that would be a good breakup we actually mentioned that too, that like if you wanted to break up with somebody after a show, do the last 5 years or Waitress.
Yeah.
That's a good breakup show.
I actually also saw Hadestown during a breakup too. And
I can see that.
You know.
Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, as far as like something that's really romantic, I mean, I guess you have something like Aladdin. But
but that's like so
there's
Disney
a little
too. Like I think
it's more for
Legally
kids.
Blonde really is
fun. Legally Blonde, The Wedding Singer. I feel like those are two of the only ones in recent memory.
Yeah,
like a rom-com, you know.
That are deep rom-com. Exactly.
That you would want to take a date.
And have a good time.
I mean, you could technically go to any Broadway show on a date, and it would be I'd be a big fan. But
that's a nice expensive date.
yeah. But I don't know, like something like Hamilton. Sure, yeah. If somebody's gonna take me to Hamilton, they get major points, but it's not particularally romantic.
Right. Yeah. Your
Opposite
point of like
romance.
A great rom-com musical is well taken. Like.
Yeah.
But no, that was a blast,
and
I got to be in the Whip It. Is it what it's called?
Yeah, Whip It. Yeah. So you had to jump rope.
Yeah, and it was awesome. It's just like, when else would I get to do this? So that was a very dance heavy show. With, like, huge lifts.
I know. I'm like a decent singer. I'm an absolutely atrocious dancer.
Oh,
it's a problem.
You're a mover. Right? Here's your move. That's like a whole.
It's bad. Moving is a stretch. Definitely not dancing. It's pretty bad. But what do you like about theater acting more or film acting? Like, what's the pluses on both sides?
I try and think of them at the end of the day as just like acting. Like I had some really great teachers who were like, don't confuse yourself too much of like trying to like be big on the stage and like be small for the camera, which like yes, technically that's the way to go about it, but at the end of the day it's like, to me you're still feeling the emotions, it's just like how are you expressing them, I guess.
Yeah.
So for theater, I would say in my experience, doing theater is um there are way more people. It's not more collaborative, but like you feel the collaboration a little bit more in terms of like how everything's going right in front of you. With
Yeah.
film acting, like there's tons going on, but you are really only involved in like your one thing.
Yeah,
I
because
would
you've got to
film
do your
acting.
coverage and your,
Yes,
yeah,
and it's
that
very
makes
stop
sense.
and start, stop and start. Whereas theater, it's like once the curtain opens, like that train is moving and you better get on it, or you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's way more like the way I go about it is so different in actually doing it, but the preparation is the same, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, in terms
Yeah.
of character.
Yeah. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Harpeth Road and Lindsay Gibson and her new book, Where It All Began. Still reeling from the shock of her ex-fiance leaving her at the altar, Willow Anderson flees to Martha's Vineyard after almost a decade away, forcing her to confront everything she's left behind. Her father suffered from a horrible fall off a horse at their family farm, and Willow has to return to the scene of a traumatic accident from her youth. Just as she begins to navigate taking care of her father's farm, her first love, Grayson Turner, walks back into her life, and he's got a secret that could change everything. I really enjoyed this book. I think if you like a good love triangle, it has a really good love triangle. It kind of reminded me a little bit of The Summer I Turned Pretty, like an older, a little bit older version of The Summer I Turned Pretty, but a very spirited, passionate, dynamic. I think it'll make a great summertime read, so you should definitely check it out. And you can purchase it wherever you purchase your books or use the affiliate link below. Make sure to grab your copy today. That is Where It All Began by Lindsay Gibson. I know you'll love it.
Yeah.
Well, so tell us about things like the new movie. What tell us a little bit, the audience, a little bit about the movie.
Sure. Well, I was chuckling to myself when we were talking so much musical theater and about my parents and all that, because the reason that I met Max Talisman, who created things like this, was at a Broadway kids camp, basically.
Uh,
So we met when we were like 14 in New York
oh,
because
so you go back a lot.
we go really way back, and both of our parents had let us come to New York separately. He's from Maryland. And we met and really hit it off as kids and then just stayed in each other's lives. And it was really cool to see him create this. So Things Like This is a rom-com. It takes place in New York, and it's about two guys with the same first name who, by fate, it would seem, happen to have this meet cute again in New York. And it's kind of like a will they, won't they? Will they make it? Won't they make it happen?
Yeah.
And there's such a fun cast of characters. Even though the two Zacks are the main focal point, it does end up feeling like somewhat of an ensemble piece because there are so many amazingly colorful characters throughout. And it's also a little bit of like a love letter to New York, I would say. Like New York ends up being its own character a bit.
Yeah.
I was thinking before talking to you of like when I think of what makes a great rom-com or a great Hallmark movie, it's like what are some of the main bullet points that you have to check off? And it's like somewhat of an easy watch, but yet emotionally deep. Something that's like aesthetically pleasing, like great set and art decoration. And then something that's like in somewhat of an exciting location, like
Yeah.
vacation or in the country. And in our case, that would be New York. And I think
Usually it's Vancouver pretending to be that destination, but that's okay.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And in our case, you know, a lot of it was New Jersey that looked a
Okay.
lot like New York. However, we did shoot some in New York, and for all intents and purposes, I mean, I lived there during
Yeah, yeah.
the shooting of it, and it really, I was just, we were all so immersed in the lives of our characters, and I looked very physically different. Like Chloe, my character, who is Zach, one of the Zach's best friends. Both of the Zachs have like a girl BFF.
Uh-huh.
Zach Anthony's, and she has like shorter red hair and like these really long, colorful acrylic nails, and that was crazy. I had to learn how to live with those, and I've got mad respect for those women who can do that on the daily.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah, this is one of your first roles on camera, correct?
Yeah, it's one of my
Just
it's my first feature film with a theatrical release. Yeah, it's the first one.
So what was that like? Was there a learning curve for you or
Not really, because I had done a lot of like commercial work, and I
okay.
shot a really amazing musical short film a couple of years prior that felt like a feature. Honestly, it was an AFI thesis called Marriage Material.
Okay.
That then that had a theatrical release as well, but it's a short, and then it's on Fox Searchlight's website, because they ended up buying it, I think. But anyway,
Hmm.
so it didn't feel different so much, except for I knew it was going to be a feature, and there's
Yeah.
so much more weight in that. And then it's also like figuring out how to sort of like, how do I want to say this? It's like
Yeah.
I knew Chloe was going to be bigger than any other role I had played, even though it was like, you know,
A
forcing
supporting role,
a
yeah.
supporting role. Yeah, yeah.
Well, so what is it like working with Max in this case where he's the writer, director, and star? Like
Yeah.
wearing so many hats. Like,
It was amazing to just see him do his thing. I mean, he is unparalleled in terms of energy and drive and determination. It was particularly cool. So my first shot of the film, the scene we were doing was our stoop scene. That's just the two of us.
uh-huh.
And so I was acting with just him, and then it would be cool because it like the assistant or associate director would cut for him, you know, and then he would just like shift into director mode. He'd go and he'd check the shot, and then he'd come back and he'd talk to me. And he really is an actor's director because he's an actor as well.
Uh-huh.
So it was really cool to see him finally get to wear all of the hats because I was so involved in the process while he was writing it, and like seeing it kind of go from what he had written to then being on a screen was like, it was so silly. But I
Yeah.
said to him the night of the premiere, I was like, you really did that, you know? Because
Yeah.
oftentimes they say there's the script you write, the script, the movie you write, the movie you shoot, and the movie you edit, and then not all the time does that end up being
Sure.
the same movie. And in this case, he was really able to do that.
With him being the writer, did y'all like improv at all, or did you stay pretty close to the script?
He did let us improvise a lot. I think most of the moments that ended up in the movie were scripted, for me anyway. But I know that Danny Chivariaga, who plays Peter, he improvised a lot. So a lot of his
Uh-huh.
improv is in there, and it was really funny. And there actually there's a whole blooper reel during the credits of things like this, which is a lot of improv too.
Yeah. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about your role in your role with Chloe, what she does, what her character is.
So Chloe is Zach Anthony's best friend. She is super colorful and very whimsical, optimistic, very positive. She speaks in like proverbs or riddles, I would say, that aren't always like maybe what you would think you would hear.
Yeah, she gives a lot of advice. She's always
Does
like,
give a lot of advice. I
yeah.
like to think of her as like kind of the perfect best friend where she doesn't interfere. She lets people be who they are and make their decisions, but is there as a sounding board when they come back and they need advice. Then she shares it, which I think is kind of like a great way to
Mhm.
be. And she really believes in fate. And I think in a lot of ways, she is Zach Anthony's like sort of North Star in guiding him to maybe keep a little bit of hope out there, that things can happen the way he wants them to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that love exists, then you will find your
Yeah.
sweatshirt or your person.
Right. Well, so what would be your go-to New York meal? You if you have got to get dinner, you're in New York City. What's on the
I
top of your
think I
list?
gotta make it to Katz's. I gotta make it.
Okay.
Like I really do. That
Pastrami
is
on rye with mustard.
yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And a pickle, a really
The
big
pickle.
pickle. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
It is really because I not that I've been there tons of times. I've just been there once, but because it's a really long wait. But it's
Yeah.
not just a tourist trap. It is
No,
really
it is legitimately good.
really
When
good.
when I went to NYU, I lived in the East Village, and there are a lot of great places in the villages and in Greenwich.
Yeah.
Yeah, I became obsessed with this place. I don't even know if it still exists, but in college I ate there so much. It was called Oatmeals, and it was this store
Oh.
that like this restaurant that had all these just different types of oatmeal. And I think that's why New York is so cool to me. It just has stuff like that where like
Yeah,
you
it
can find
really
it.
is true. Like that is what makes New York the best is that
Yeah.
like you can have because it's so populous, they can have like specificity that like a city like Salt Lake just can't sustain, This one is this year.
Interesting.
Like they have a whole shops just for cheese,
Yeah,
you know.
totally. It's like you
Where
want
else
to
can you
hyperfixate
get
on
that?
something,
Yeah,
they
it's
got you.
true. It's really true.
Yeah.
It's really true. I love the Chobani restaurant that they have there in
Oh
just
yeah, I
just
forgot all
yogurt.
about
You
that.
wouldn't think
Say
there'd
that.
be enough with just like plain yogurt. It's so good.
Yeah, yeah, there are all these like landmark stores there. And of course, like the nicer, I mean, I love a great Italian restaurant or French restaurant in New York. I mean,
Yeah,
the food there is so, so good.
that's true. It really is. It really is. Well, what do you think makes this movie special? What's your pitch to the Hallmarkies
Like
listeners?
the
They should
Hallmark.
check it. They should check it out.
It is just a fabulous rom-com. I think it's something that we need, especially in today's world where you want to watch something fun and walk away feeling uplifted and like you kind of maybe went on an emotional roller coaster, but you're in a safe space and it's super visually pleasing to watch. Like all our cinematographer is amazing and and it's just you're gonna be in for some great laughs, some very exciting, like cringy, silly moments, and then and maybe some tears along the way and some happy tears. And I
Yeah.
think a movie that can cover all those bases and like uplift you at the end of it is something we all need.
Yeah.
And I will say the soundtrack to this movie is also great.
Oh,
It's got a
yeah.
great soundtrack. Yeah, and two original songs, both written by Devin Lewis, who went to Broadway camp with Max and I. So it's
Oh my
very,
gosh.
I know,
What a camp
it's a small
this
world.
was.
It's a great camp. They've got a lot of like amazing alumni as well who are like on Broadway and stuff. So
Did you see theater camp last year
I
with Ben
did, yeah,
Plaza?
yeah,
That
I
was so
loved it.
funny. I
I
love
loved
that
it.
movie.
It was great.
Yeah, that's
But yeah,
really funny.
I will say another thing about things like this that I think separates it from any other rom-com or especially LGBTQ plus movie we've seen is that it's not a
Uh-huh.
coming out story. And I
Right.
think that was really important to Max. He was like, I'm not seeing myself in these roles that I'm going out for it
Yeah.
later or when he was growing up, he said he related to straight characters because he had to. And so he created this where it's like it's not about coming out. It's just they both happen to be guys and it's
Yeah.
their love story. And
I
I think that's
appreciate
really
that too,
cool.
because of course it's important to share the pain of those stories, but it is a problem if that's the only narrative that we ever get,
Yeah.
then that's a problem.
Yeah, and it ends up I think doing the opposite of normalizing it if you're having to like re-show all of the hard
Yeah.
stuff.
And it just like steeps the experience in
For
trauma.
sure. Yes.
Like being gay is traumatic,
Oh,
which
yeah, exactly. Or
yeah,
like,
which it doesn't
yeah.
have to be. And hopefully we're progressing as a society,
Yeah, yeah.
you
And I
know.
think this independent film ending up in theaters is
Yeah.
it
And it got a
demonstrates
pretty good
that.
rollout for a micro budget film.
Yeah, yeah, it did. It
I was
really did.
happy about that.
Me too. And I ended up like for my family members and friends and who like wanted to the experience of like being in the theater with me, I
Yeah.
Literally, I ended up seeing it in theaters 4 times
Oh my gosh.
in 1 week, and I was like, okay, I really can't. Like, I'm reciting every line in my head now. I've got to like stop doing that. But it was my first feature in theaters, so it
Yeah.
was a fun experience to go and do
Yeah.
that. But
That's cool.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Well, we like to enter interviews with some fun get to know you questions. So the first question, what is the best ice cream flavor?
ooh, I might create some enemies on this one, but I love mint chocolate chip. I know some people are like, peppermint is weird. You shouldn't be like eating it, but I love mint chocolate chip.
Is that a controversial take? Who knew?
In my world, apparently it is, because everybody usually goes for like caramel cone Haagen-Dazs is like a good runner-up, I would say. Yeah.
Very good. What is your favorite color?
Blue.
Good.
I'm like, obviously, and my eyes are blue and the ocean's blue. Yeah, I love blue.
Okay. What music are you into?
Oh my gosh, I'm into literally everything. I say that and I mean it. My liked songs on Spotify, it's like you never know what you're gonna get. It's Russian roulette. And that's why I don't DJ in the car, because you're either going to get like a musical theater overture or you're gonna get some like rap and R&B. It's really everything. I will say right now for like early summer vibes, I love country music. So I've been listening to a lot of like pop hits country. Yeah.
What's your favorite cast recording? Broadway.
Immediately I'm like, I can't even pick because let me pick. I will give you an answer, but that is a really great question. I think since we talked about it, the Legally Blonde soundtrack.
Yeah, good choice.
It's just amazing. And it's also great to work out to. Like I sometimes
listen to that
when I'm on a treadmill. There's just nothing else like it. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that one. Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. I think that if it counts, the 10th anniversary Les Mis concert,
Right.
that is like just perfect.
Yeah.
But if that doesn't count, then honestly, I think the Dear Evan Hansen cast recording is so good. I honestly like it better than the actual musical. Like it's fine. Like the musical is just a little weird. The plot's a little strange, but like the cast recording is so good.
Yeah, I would agree, because I actually saw, I had become like obsessed with the recording before I got to see it. And then when I saw it, I think it's because like when you hear an album recorded so well, you pick up on all those little like the percussion and the horn sections. And sometimes when you're in the theater, the sound doesn't carry the same way. And so like I had in my ears like little things I was listening for that didn't like hit the same way.
Well, and it's just like this plot isn't the healthiest. It's
Yeah.
a little,
There are a lot
but
of
it's
musicals
fine.
out there that are like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe
No,
we
but
need
Ben
some
Platt, oh my God. I
major
remember.
therapy are
Yeah.
all involved.
Yeah. But that's what makes it great and engaging, is the thought-provoking aspect of it.
So, what's your go-to date night food?
Ooh, I love sushi. I think like there's something oddly romantic about it. I don't know if it's just because you're like bringing things to your mouth.
Well, yeah, and you can see how brave the other person is. Ooh, they're
Yes,
willing to
exactly.
try that.
If they're willing to try new things. Yes, I love
choice. Okay, what is your go-to date night activity if you're going out doing something?
Ooh, I'd love to go dancing. I think that's really fun. Doing something active with a partner, or if it's like a day date, like maybe playing tennis or going to the beach or something like that.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, I will say I'm also down to just like stay in. I love a good like cozy movie night.
Yeah.
dinner at home with some music and like literally dancing in the kitchen, stuff like that.
That sounds
That's my
good.
vibe too.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to do some and/ors Broadway edition. You ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to be decisive for you, even though it's
All
kind
right.
of a little bit. Okay.
Mamma Mia or Jersey Boys?
Ooh, I knew right off the bat it was going to be hard. Oh gosh, Mamma Mia.
Okay. Wicked or The Lion King?
Wicked.
Annie or Matilda?
Annie.
Into the Woods or Company?
Oh my gosh. Company.
Good choice. That one's
Thank you.
that one's not
Yeah.
hard for me. Phantom or Joseph?
Joseph, actually.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So in the Heights or Hamilton?
Hamilton.
Okay.
Mhm.
Chicago or Cabaret?
Cabaret.
The Music Man or Anna Get Your Gun?
Oh my gosh. I have to go with the Music Man on that one.
Okay, last one. Les Miserables or Sweeney Todd?
Oh, gosh, Rachel, these are so hard. Okay. Sweeney Todd. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry, but I like,
Yeah.
oh gosh,
It's
it
okay.
hurts to say that.
So
That might not even be true. An hour from now, I'm gonna be like, Rachel, I changed my mind. I'll stick to it.
So which do you like better, dogs or cats?
Dogs. I'm a dog girl.
Which do you like better, beaches or mountains?
Beaches.
What's your favorite holiday to celebrate?
I'm gonna actually go with the 4th of July because I was born at 12:22 a.m. on the 5th of July. And so growing up,
Nice.
the 4th always felt like a party for me. And
It's
I
like
like
a
fireworks.
birthday for America and
And
for
me.
you.
But more importantly, me. No. But yeah, it's fun. And it's summer and it's like
Yeah.
good time. Yeah.
Good. All right. Last question. What is your favorite Hallmark or romantic movie?
Ooh. Oh my gosh, there's so many good rom-coms. I'll say for Hallmark movies, I've seen A Country Wedding so many times. Like my parents
Yes.
I don't know why
Oh, great poll.
but
Yeah.
thank you. And my parents are like, they love the Hallmark Channel. They're always watching Hallmark movies. And there was one day or something where it was raining, and I think the channel played that like 2 times in one day. And my
Yeah.
dad and I ended up like kind of watching it twice in one day.
Yeah.
That's a silly one. I love that one. In terms of like any other rom-com, I do love The Notebook. I think that was so well adapted, and the cast, that was just such a point in time.
Yeah.
I don't know, could ever be recreated with that.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love
That's
a
a good
good
one.
yeah, just
That's a
something
good
that gets
choice.
really deep and then turns out really happy at the end.
Yeah. Country Wedding. That's one of the best.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I
Such
was like, I feel like
chemistry.
you're gonna know that because
Yeah.
you do this podcast, but yeah.
Great choice. Yeah. We got to get you in one of these. Got to get you in a Christmas movie.
I would love that. I do.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I have been getting asked like by people
Yes.
often of like, would you come?
Yeah.
Because that's and I would love to do that. That's
Yeah.
very me, and yeah, and they're just so like heartwarming, and that's kind of like what
Yeah.
I went
do
into
great.
acting wanting to do, is like make people feel good and
Yeah.
give them something lovely to watch.
You might have to head up to Vancouver for part of it, but it's
Totally fine with
okay.
me. Yeah. Not surprising. I know.
Yeah. Well, very good. Where can people follow you if they want to follow you on social media, that fun stuff?
Sure. I'm probably most active on Instagram. I'm at Margaret_Berks, like Berkz, because my whole name is one character too long to fit. So
Oh, nice.
shorten it.
Yeah.
Or I'm on Facebook, but mainly, find me on Instagram, and I love
Okay.
chatting with everybody. So
Great. We'll put all that in the description, and y'all should check out things like this. And thanks so much for coming to talk with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to meet you. And I love talking some musical theater, so this just made my day.
Me too. We'd like to thank Margaret for coming on the podcast. This was so much fun to get to talk with her. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let us know what you think about all the things we talked about in the comment section or on Twitter. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes, and at Onstage Blog Theater Podcast. Make check that out. And make sure you're following the podcast, the Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. Check out our interview playlist for all of our interviews. We'd sure be grateful for that. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. Those reviews really help the algorithm a lot. The more 5-star reviews we have, the better people find us and we come up. So please, please, please take a second. It's free to leave those reviews and we sure appreciate it. And then if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We're really trying to get to 10K subscribers, and most of our viewers on YouTube are not subscribers. So if you fit into that camp, please help us out and subscribe and get notifications and participate. We would sure appreciate it. And we have our Patreon group, which is the next step up for participation, and you get lots of great perks for being a patron. You can be part of our watch alongs, you get to be part of Q&As, monthly patron events. We have our Facebook group, we have early episodes, we have bonus episodes, we have monthly polls that you can vote on to decide what we're going to talk about. So please, 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 please check out the Patreon group in the link in the description. And then we have our merch store where we have tons of fun Hallmark inspired design. So please take a look at that. And thanks again to Margaret, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.